No matter how much research you do before you move here to Las Vegas, there are some things that when you're a local here and you start your new life that are going to surprise you that are really cool about living in the area. So I'm going to share some things that I did not know before I moved here, and others have shared with me over the years about some of the benefits that are lesser known about living in Southern Nevada. The first surprising benefit we'll talk about when it comes to living here in the Las Vegas area is that there's almost no natural disasters here. Like, yes, we have heat in the summertime, absolutely, and we sometimes get monsoons. I say sometimes because in recent years we've had 2 different summers where we had basically none, and they used to be more consistent here, June, July, and August, but there's been some times in recent years where we've had basically none at all. So I say now it's more like sometimes we have them. We maybe will feel an earthquake either from Southern California or from another part of Nevada, so we might feel a little bit of that, but it's definitely not like, you know, living in Southern California, the Bay Area or something like that, where you're kind of in like earthquake central. We don't have hurricanes here, we don't have tornadoes, we don't have massive snowstorms, so those either live in the Midwest or like in the Northeast or that kind of thing. I mean, we just don't really have those kinds of things that happen here. This one here is particularly cool because where I grew up, we had a lot of these. And in the 10 plus years I've lived here in the Las Vegas area, rarely do we get mosquitoes. Oh man, if you grew up near water, whether it's, you know, agriculture or whether you're down in the south in the swamps, you're getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. I remember that as a kid going to practice at sports and the mosquitoes, especially in the summertime, just feasting on your calves and having mosquito bites all over the place. But here in the Vegas area, you know, last year, a year or so ago, we did have some reports of people, of there being mosquitoes here. I think a lot of it depends on what part of town you lived in, what part of the area you lived in. You might be impacted by it, but even still, not like what I was used to growing up. So to me, the fact that there's hardly any mosquitoes, they're really like not that much a part of your daily life, is great here. Another cool thing about here is the fact that there's no sales tax on groceries. So I knew in Nevada there was no state income tax. I figured there was sales tax, but I didn't know that there was no sales tax on groceries here. That's actually something that's fairly common across lots of states in the country. So the sales tax here in Nevada does pay for a lot of the state's revenue because of all the tourism. But when it comes to groceries, you're a local living here, you're not going to be paying sales tax on groceries. And speaking of no or low taxes, Nevada has the 4th lowest property tax rate in the country. That's something else I did not know before I got here. So many people focus on the 0% state income tax because that applies to everyone in the state. But if you want to be a homeowner here in the state of Nevada, if you want to be a homeowner here in Clark County, we have the 4th lowest property tax in the country. So the no state income tax, the low property tax are huge here because the sales tax, so much that's paid for by the tourism that comes here, that we're able to have those lower taxes or even no taxes in certain situations. And also, speaking of being ranked 4th best, Nevada was recently ranked 4th best state for veterans. So in recent years, I know some of the laws have changed since I've lived here for the last 10 plus years to help improve that ranking. So if you are a veteran and you're in a state, especially if you're in a higher tax state or higher cost of living state and you are looking to retire, then this can be a great option for you. And if you do need any help in that process, I am a referral agent here in the state of Nevada. There'll be a link down below that goes to another agent who I work with. She's amazing, she's awesome. You fill out the form, she'll get in contact with you, and she will help hold your hand through that entire process of the home buying that you're gonna need to do here in Las Vegas. Something else that's cool that I had no idea about before I moved here is the local love discounts. And I didn't realize this was even common in places like Disneyland and Disney World or other places that have lots of tourism, where the locals are given discounts for the tourist things. So buy one, get one show tickets, free entry to nightclubs, discounts on hotel rooms, on rides or tourist attractions, restaurants, and that sort of thing. That's one of the benefits I had no idea about before I got here. But I was like, wait, we just show our Nevada ID and we get free stuff, or we get discounted stuff that like the tourists have to pay full price for? I'm like, cool, I dig it. And speaking of tourism, stories of working in hospitality. That's one of the cool things here. I remember like when I first year living here, and I'd go to the gym and get to know some of the people who are either, you know, supervisors on the casino floor, or people who work in the club scene, or people who are doormen at hotels and casinos, or especially people who've been around for a long time. Like they were working in Vegas in the 70s and 80s and 90s in hospitality. They got some cool stories, man. They get to go to some cool events. They've worked certain events. They have stories of celebrities and just things they've seen. And you hear stuff, especially people who worked like decades ago, they have stories that are like straight out of a movie or a TV show. A lot of those things don't really happen so much now in Vegas, but the people who've been around for a while, they've got some wild stories of how Las Vegas used to be. Speaking of hospitality, a big thing here in the Las Vegas area is reverse happy hour or double happy hour or triple happy hour due to so many people who work in hospitality and work those kind of bizarre hours. I know for me and all the time I have lived here, I mean, dude, I have worked 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I've worked 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. I've worked 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. I've worked 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., midnight to 8 a.m., 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., like all those just bizarre hours where you're getting off work and especially you have to do overtime like I've had before. I've worked, 12 a.m. to like 10 a.m. or even noon, and you're getting off work at lunchtime and you're getting ready to go to bed at like 3, 4 in the afternoon. So your body clock is, for Vegas, that's fairly common, but for a lot of people around the country, that's not common to be working those kinds of hours. So a lot of businesses here will adjust some of their offers that they have for people who are getting off work at 8 or 9 in the morning. They want to go have some food or grab a drink before they go to bed later in the afternoon to get up and work graveyard again that night. The outdoor life is a benefit here that I was really not aware of when I first moved here. I thought Vegas was just going to be miles and miles and miles of endless desert. But it wasn't until I got here and started living here that I found out how many people are really into hiking and just outdoor activities in general and the mountains that we're surrounded by. Now, when you first move here, there's not that much greenery you're gonna see in the Vegas Valley, and that took some time to get used to. But there is greenery if you go up to Mount Charleston, which depending on where you live in the Vegas area, if you're like in the northwest part of town, yeah, it could be 45 minutes away or less, depending on where you're at. If you're in other parts like more southwest or something like that, it is going to be a bit of a longer drive, but it's really beautiful. It's very green. It's much cooler up there in the summertime. Lots of people go up there in the summer because it's about 20 degrees cooler, and it's an easy day trip to go up there. I mean, also we have Lake Mead, so if you're into like boating or any kind of water sports, that's one of the benefits of being here too, is all the outdoor activities that I didn't really think were a big deal here. I just thought because it's desert, it's going to be hot, people aren't really into the outdoors, but no, I was wrong. So if you're an outdoor person, you're going to like what there is to offer here in the Vegas area. Speaking of day trips, there's a ton of day trips or weekend trips that you can do from right here. And it seems kind of strange maybe at first glance, you look on the map, because you see the state of Nevada between Vegas and Reno, there's not a whole lot. And you even see Las Vegas, right? The distance between Las Vegas and Los Angeles or Phoenix or San Diego. And it is essentially an oasis in the desert, right? So it looks like it's really isolated, and there's obviously some truth to that because of its location. But however, you're only a 4 to 5 hour drive from going to LA or San Diego or Phoenix. Or if you want to go even closer, people will go take trips for the day to Mesquite or Laughlin or Pahrump or something like that. So you have a fair amount of places that are a good day trip or weekend trip if you just want to get out of town and do that kind of thing. I've gone to LA and back before several times in the day, and you can do that if you want. It's a bit of a long day. People go to the Grand Canyon and back in one day. So it's doable because you're driving about 4 hours there. You can be there for about 4 hours and drive 4 hours back. But a lot of people don't realize that. I remember talking to someone from Southern California one time who they actually thought Las Vegas and Reno was a shorter drive than Las Vegas to LA. And I was like, no, I said, it's a shorter drive from Las Vegas to pretty much anywhere in Southern California than it is from Las Vegas to Reno. You're looking at about 7 hours or so from Vegas to Reno. So we're to go to LA, 3.5, 4 hours, San Diego, maybe 5 hours, Phoenix, closer to 5. So you do have quite a bit of things, quite a bit of options just within a drive here if you'd like. Speaking of driving, the area here in Las Vegas is pretty easy to navigate. This was something that was different for me coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, where it's just major metro area, 6-7 million plus people, crowded, congested, and then moving here where you look at the map. You ever look at the map of the Las Vegas area? Much of it's a giant grid where you see the roads that go north and south and go east and west. And looking at it, it is fairly easy to navigate. The area has grown a lot. There is more traffic now, there's more construction, but as far as the infrastructure of it, it's a lot simpler than a lot of other major metro areas out west and definitely on the East Coast, because Vegas is a lot younger area. So it's had the benefit of that better infrastructure and that better technology than some cities, especially on the East Coast, that are hundreds of years old that, when they were established, and now they're trying to build the best they can with these cities that were established hundreds of years ago, where Vegas is not nearly as old as that. One benefit that happens here that people oftentimes don't think of, because when they think of Vegas or they read about online some of the bad things about living here, they say, oh, there's no sense of community, or that you don't get to know your neighbors, it's very transient. And the area is very transient, but you can get to know your neighbors, right? People do move here and they stay here. All right, lots of people do move here and they leave, but the population keeps growing because people who move here oftentimes stay. So I remember the first community event I ever was aware of, man, now 10 or more years ago, at Seven Hills in Henderson. So a lot of these neighborhoods, they will have community events just for members of the community, particularly in the summertime. They might do movie nights and things like that, where they have the local park, they'll set up a screen, and the community members will have movie night, they might do potlucks and bring food. So they have community events here, okay? That's the benefit of living here. There is a community here if you want to be a part of it. If you don't want to be, then you don't have to be. But if you want that, you can find that here, believe it or not. Okay, so I know a lot of what you see online might say otherwise, but you can find that here. Part of the thing that makes community interesting here in Las Vegas, and this was one thing I thought was kind of beneficial, was to learn about people from other parts of the country and other parts of the world, is just the transplants that live here, the transient population, people who come from other states and other countries. And I remember the first time I was talking to a coworker of mine from Kentucky who mentioned growing up in a dry county. Everything like dry county, what the hell is that? It's like, oh, there's dry counties, there's moist counties, and it's like, I didn't realize that there were counties where they just don't, I guess, have alcohol, don't sell alcohol, and you have to go to the next county over. And some places in the country only sell alcohol on certain days, or only certain stores, and all sorts of stuff. Growing up in California, I was like, used to 7 days a week. You go to the grocery store and buy alcohol if you want. So that was different. I also learned too, one thing that was kind of unfortunate to learn about, but apparently like down south, I learned dog fighting is really popular. It's illegal, but it's very popular culturally down there. It seems to be, for whatever reason, that region, it happens a lot. I'm sure it happens all over the country, but down there, I guess it's a real popular underground activity. So here also in Las Vegas, it's known as being the 9th island of Hawaii, because there's a huge Hawaiian transplant population here. Several large demographics from other countries here: Ethiopia, Mexico, Cuba, just to name a handful. So you can get to meet some people from all around the world in other states and just hear how they live and how they grew up. And I thought a lot of that was interesting, particularly the first few years I lived here, because I thought it was just going to be a bunch of Californians here, which there are. But you get to meet people from other parts of the U.S. And when you hear about how certain things work with their own laws in other countries or different processes, I find that interesting, and I thought it was a good benefit of living here. And speaking of their own laws and processes, the traffic ticket process here versus California. I did a video on that my first year here. And the whole point system they have here versus California, where it's way more harsh. Man, I remember being in California, and if you got a moving violation for rolling through a stop sign or speeding or something, you could go to traffic school once every 18 months to have it taken off your record. And if you got pulled over again within those 18 months for a moving violation and you got a ticket, you could not get it off your record, or they would go the point would go on your driving record and your insurance would go up. Or here, the point system they have is so much different and so much more generous, where the more severe the infraction, the more points that go on your driving record. But I believe you have to get 12 points in a year for your insurance to go up here. So when I first found out about it, I was like, wow, this is so much more generous than California. I was like, this is way nicer than what I was used to growing up with. So that part was a cool benefit too. And there may be others that I'm sure I'm missing, but hey, if you guys want to come here to live to Las Vegas, I've been here over 10 years. I like it. I enjoy being here. If you're looking to move here, you need help, there'll be the link down below. You can get in touch with another agent who will help guide you through that whole home buying process from start to finish to begin your new life here in Las Vegas. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. I am Jacob. This is My Life in Vegas.